Do you want to know how to discipline a child for fighting at school? I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting and good communication, how to build strong family bonds, all through the lens of the principle self-government. In this video, we're going to talk about what we need to understand about children fighting at school, and then how to help them control that behavior and start making plans for new skills for solving their problems. I was not the type of child that would fight at school, but I did have lots of foster children who would fight at school. So I'm the mother of 4, previous foster parent of many troubled teens. They were all between the ages of 12 and 18, and many of them had impulse control problems. They had anxiety problems. When they would come to my home, they did not have the skills that they needed to solve their problems and talk things out. And many of them had been raised in traumatic circumstances where they had been severely abused, and so aggression seemed like a normal go-to for them. So some of those children gravitated more toward hitting and being aggressive at school, and so fighting just came naturally for them. In fact, some people think that fighting is actually a normal part of life, that everybody needs to be fighting with people, and that that's somehow developmentally healthy. Well, even though it is something that every person probably experiences a couple of times, at least in their lifetime, fighting is not a good go-to for solving a problem. In fact, it usually damages relationships. Our children don't want their relationships to be damaged, but they do want their problems to be solved. And sometimes they get so hyper-focused on solving the problem that they forget about the relationship. This leads them into a fighting circumstance. Now, some children just happen to be more physical than others anyway. If your child is the type that's more tactile, physical, maybe they have a harder time with their words or putting their thoughts together, they're probably going to be the kind that goes to fighting as well. Now, there are different types of fighting. I've been focusing right now up to this point on the more physical type of fighting, but there are also verbal types of fighting that your child may be engaging in. So the verbal fights often happen in girl populations more. I would say the boys are more likely to go to blows, where the girls are going to be saying words that are hurtful and hateful to each other because they get a little bit more psychologically aggressive when they are emotional. So now obviously boys and girls could fall into either camp. I've had foster children who've had both types of aggressions, girls and boys. And so, it's not like there's one thing that's for sure everyone. But no matter whether you have a child who is psychologically manipulating or being aggressive psychologically and emotionally with other people, or whether you have a child who's being physically aggressive when they're fighting with people, we need to address with our children the topic of fighting in a way that's actually going to do some good. So why did I take some time at the beginning of this video to talk about why people engage in fighting? Well, this was to hopefully open your mind to the possibilities of why they're doing it. Sometimes as parents, we're so disappointed with the action that our child is doing that we don't take time to actually consider why they might be doing it. And if we did that, then when we do our teaching, we might actually have a little bit more of a feeling of compassion, understanding, connection, so that when we give our lesson, it actually hits the right spot to make the change that we're hoping for in the child. So why is it that you think your child is fighting at school? Is it because they lack certain skills? Is it because they have anxiety and so they impulsively jump into fighting before they recognize what they've done? Is it because they feel like they don't have the ability to communicate properly, meaning they just are lacking the ability to put their thoughts together in a logical pattern? Might they need help with that? Or is it because somebody else is starting a fight with them? That could also be the case, right? I would definitely warn you, don't be encouraging your child to find a scapegoat for why they are fighting. I know that sometimes there are other people that can come and attack our children, and our children may need to counter with some, self-preservation, some protection, right, in engaging in this fight. But most of the time we want our children to see that they can be in complete control of themselves no matter what is happening around them, so that they don't need to feel like they have to engage in a certain way or that they're being forced to engage in a certain way, because nobody is being forced to fight with another person, even though sometimes they might have to protect themselves or others in a certain way. In our modern culture, we've bought into the idea that there are certain things that are just oppressive to people, right? When somebody doesn't agree with you, maybe they give you an editorial comment about your thoughts or your outfit or where you live or something like that, and we feel like that is a sign that someone has a bias toward us, or they're attacking us and we're now a victim of bullying or something like that. And you know what? Children just say dumb stuff. I mean, they do. And they always have. They have to learn socially and develop socially. And so for us to give our child a free pass on fighting and aggression because somebody says something stupid is just not wise. They need to be prepared that people will say dumb things all the time. They need to be able to forgive the person, not take it personal, move on. Maybe they distance themselves from the person, that's fine, but they definitely don't have to carry any bad feelings or start a fight about it. So what do you do if your child has engaged in a fight? If you've subscribed to this channel already, then you know that I'm all about self-government skills and teaching children the skills that they need to successfully problem solve. So what type of self-government skills are going to be beneficial for a child to learn so that they don't fight? Probably one of the best skills is one of the 4 basic skills of self-government, and that is accepting a no answer. So there are 4 basic skills of self-government. These 4 basic skill sets, if learned, take care of 99% of your behavioral problems. So those 4 basic skills are following instructions, accepting no answers and criticism, accepting consequences, and disagreeing appropriately. Every one of these skills is going to help your child not fight. But in particular, with peers at school, the 2 most important skills for the child are probably going to be accepting no answers and criticism and disagreeing appropriately. So let's talk about accepting no answers and criticism. When a person accepts no answers and criticism, it takes the same 4 steps. The 4 steps are to look at the person or the situation, keep a calm face, voice, and body, say okay or ask to disagree appropriately, and then drop the subject. That means you don't think about it anymore, you don't talk about it anymore, you let it be a thing from the past. So when a person is engaged in communication with another person who seems like they are being rude to them, they're being unkind, maybe they are even starting to fight with them, the best thing that your child can do is go, you know what, I wish they weren't doing that, but I guess it's a no answer for me. I don't get to control their behavior, so I'm not going to attempt to control their behavior. I'm just going to say, okay, this is how it is, and drop the subject and move on. If your child feels like they do need to say something in that circumstance, then probably they want to use the skill disagreeing appropriately. There are 7 steps to disagreeing appropriately. In fact, I have children's books, by the way, that teach all of these 4 basic skills to children. It makes it a lot easier on you to remember all of these steps. When a person disagrees appropriately, they look at the person or the situation, they keep a calm face, voice, and body, they say that they understand the other person's point of view, share their point of view, listen to what they have to say okay, and then drop the subject. When a person disagrees appropriately, this engages their prefrontal cortex and gives them the opportunity to start problem solving and planning. That's why I call disagreeing appropriately the gateway skill to self-government. So what does a person do if someone is starting to attack them? Well, probably the best thing they could do is first stop, check themselves for calmness. So say, okay, am I calm? And hopefully they know what calmness is and what it is not. So if you've noticed in both of those skills that we talked about, the second step to both of those skills is to have a calm face, voice, and body. This means that you'll have to take time with your child to analyze what really calm is, what it sounds like, what it looks like, what it feels like. So first they stop, they ask themselves a question, am I calm? The next thing that they're going to do is they're going to learn how to analyze what's going on in the other person. They do this by doing a simple description. Now, in my parenting book, Parenting a House United, which is the one that I'm most known for, and in my parenting course, which is the TSG parenting course, on my website, teachingselfgovernment.com, I talk about how to do feedback. And in every one of our feedback skills, the first step is to do a description. So in this case, the child would give feedback to the person who's trying to attack them, whether it's physically or verbally, and they might give them a description. But this isn't a description that leads to a fight, it's a description that leads to bringing things into the light. So the child might say to the other person, "Right now you're yelling at me," or "Right now you're trying to hit me." That's not a good way to solve our problem. Let's see if we can solve our problem another way. Let's talk about this calmly. So if the child understands calmness, then they can describe what's happening to the other person and point them toward calmness. Then they can start to utilize their skill, disagreeing appropriately. Now, we are just scratching the surface here on self-government. This entire channel is about the skills and principles of self-government and how you can use them with your children. So if you would like to learn more about self-government, there's a great video. It's a class that will give you an overview of a lot of the things that you will learn here on this channel. And that class is called The Not So Known Secret for Parenting Success. So click on the link to that video next and learn more about the skills and principles of self-government.